on a cloud. The cloud took him up. And the angel said, why are you standing there? This same Jesus is coming back in the same way you saw him go. And it tells us again in Matthew 24, he will come in clouds of glory. So the cloud seems to be associated with deity or with Jesus. We also see here a rainbow. Now, who's the author of a rainbow? God, of course, Christ, God, the rainbow of Moses' day. But didn't we see a rainbow in Revelation? And where do we see it? Around the throne. The emerald rainbow around the throne. And so it identifies this angel with the throne of God. So to me, it is a description of Jesus, even more so, because it says his face were as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. Where did I read a description like that? Oh, come on, you know. Did I ever read a description of Jesus like that anywhere? Well, it could be Daniel, but how about the very book we're studying here, chapter 1? Remember the description of Jesus? His face shone as the countenance, the brilliance of the sun, and his feet was like fine brass, brilliant, fiery. And so everything about verse 1 seems to indicate this is not a regular angel. This is deity. This is God. Okay? All right, any thought, question, comment? Let's go to verse 2. And he had in his hand a little book open. And he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot upon the earth. This is a signal that I'm about to claim the world. One foot in the sea and one foot on earth, this is mine. God was the creator of heaven and earth. Of the whole universe, for that matter. But the world has long been since under the dominion of Satan. He's now the little god of this world. You know, he had dominion over the earth once. He lost that. God gave it to Adam and Eve, dominion over the earth, and they lost it because of sin, and Satan took it back. And he now has the dominion over the earth. But Jesus is saying, that's all. You're done. I'm taking over now. So it's a sense of occupying the world. He will have dominion over all the enemies, and he rightly deserves it. He's the true king and the true Lord of this earth. Now, in his hand, he has a little book that's open. What do you suppose this book might be? Could be the book of life. That's a possibility. But I'm thinking it's something else. Do we see anywhere in this study where Jesus took a book, grabbed a hold of a book? Yes. Okay. And where was that? I'll give you a hint. Yeah, but Brian had it, remember? Yeah, he did. I was going to say I was God, but I can't go that far. That's too much. But I showed you how God had the book just in his hand, and anybody could have took it. But if he was grasping it, it would have been a little harder. But who came and took the book? Chapter 5, Jesus, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, the root of David, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He prevailed, and he took the book where only he was worthy. So Jesus took that book, that 7-sealed book. Who began to open the seals? Was it an angel? Was it John? Who opened the seals? Only Jesus was worthy to open the book as well as hold it in his hand. Now all the seals are open. So he holds in his hand an open book. So what is this book? I believe it's that book he had taken out of the hands of God. It is the book that shows what he's going to do to reclaim the world. He will cleanse the world of sin and rebellion. and prepare it to receive him as the king for 1,000 years over this earth. So it's to prepare for the millennial reign of Christ and ultimately for eternity. So I believe this book he holds in his hand is the book that he took out of the God's hand. And it's a book that gives him the authority to do what he's about to do, what he has already done and what he's going to do. Okay? Does that make sense? It's always good to make sense. Okay, number 3. And cried with a loud voice as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. So we see him crying like a loud voice as a lion. And again, who is referred to as a lion in the Bible? No angels, Jesus. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. We saw that in chapter 5. The Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed to take the book out of the hand of God. So we see his voice is strong, mighty, authoritative. He has the power to take back the world. In fact, only he has that power. It strikes fear in the enemies of the Lord. His voice has power and authority. And then associated that were 7 thunders that uttered. Actually, they are speaking something here, and we'll find out. We won't know what they said. But 7 thunders. Let's look again at the word 7. 7 is God's number, and it means complete. Another meaning as well, perfect. Total, complete, perfect. And so we see the number associated with God, the number 7. 6 is associated with man in the Bible. The number 7 is always associated with God because everything God does is perfect and complete. It's whole. So here we see 7 thunders that are crying out. We know there's 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 vial or bowl judgments. So we see all this is associated with these judgments. That little book is associated with those judgments that are coming. So what are these thunders? It says they uttered their voices. So it wasn't just like it was loud, it was powerful, it was strong. But John heard what they were saying. But then we get to verse 4. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, seal up the things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. These voices must have been so distinct, John understood, though they were loud and powerful and sounded like thunder, he understood what these words were, but there came a voice from heaven, perhaps from God himself, or it could have been an angel, just say, don't write. Don't write it down. Seal it up. Close it up. You know, I saw that same terminology in the book of Daniel. Remember the last chapter of Daniel? Daniel wanted to say some things that were about to come, and God said, seal up the book. Don't tell it until the end of the time. I believe we're getting at the end of the time, and the books are being unsealed. We're beginning to see things that even Daniel couldn't talk about, and even John couldn't talk about in his own day. So what did John hear? What do you think it was? Why did God tell him not to write these things? Just speculation. It's probably what's coming next. We know a little bit what's coming next because we're told. But I wonder if it was even more intense than what John tells us about. So powerfully destructive or trying to think of a word to even use here, but something that was seemingly without mercy. You know, God's a merciful God. And God always shows grace and mercy, but this is the time of judgment. Often God, even with Israel, though he brought judgment, in judgment he often showed mercy. But this is not a time for mercy. He's got to clean the world up so Jesus can come and occupy it. And so maybe these calamities are so horrifying, God in mercy doesn't let it be revealed. You know, a lot of people, they read all this stuff and it terrifies them. I don't know why. I've never been afraid to read Revelation. It's never scared me at all because I don't plan to participate in any of that stuff. I don't plan on being here, so why should it scare me? I think if people are scared to read it, maybe they're a little bit worried about making the rapture. So the best way not to be scared is just get ready and always be ready to meet Jesus when he comes. But maybe these are so horrifying that, you know, God in mercy doesn't reveal it yet, but it's going to be revealed. Seal it up. What? Until it's time for that to be revealed. That's one possibility. I can't honestly say the Bible doesn't give us the answer, the reason why John was told to do that, but that seems to be a logical reason. Somebody else have an idea or a thought? That's a possibility, but it seems like whenever God declares something, it doesn't matter what anybody does. No, it wouldn't matter. But I can see what you're saying, yeah. There was times whenever Jesus didn't want something he did told, and he sure, it's not time to reveal I'm the Messiah. Don't tell anybody I'm the Messiah until it was time for him to be revealed as that. And so there seems to be a proper time. So God in his knowledge knows why it can't be revealed just yet. But that is a possibility. People say, oh, God said this is going to happen. We'll make sure it doesn't. At least they'll try. But people have tried a lot of things, and when it comes to God, you're going to fail. You can't, if God declares that it's going to happen no matter what you do. Okay? That's a thought. Okay, anybody else with a thought? Or we'll just move ahead. Got 5 minutes left. So I was right. We're not going to get to 11. We're not going to finish 10 either. And there's some great things here, so hang in here. Verse 5. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven. Having taken his stand on earth and sea to claim it as his, he makes a gesture of authority. I am the authority. I can see Jesus standing on that boat when the storm was raging and the disciples were fearful. I see Jesus lifting his hands. Can't you see that? And saying, peace be still. Calming the storms. His power and authority. And so that's what I see here. He's lifting up his hands towards his Father, the power of authority. I'm about to claim this world. And he speaks with a voice of authority, lifting his hands towards heaven. And verse 6, and swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that are therein, and the earth, and the things that are therein, and the sea, and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. So the act of possession of this earth is done in the power of him who has absolute authority, God himself. God created the world. God can decide when the world ends. And hasn't he done that so with everything? There's a time to be born. There's a time to die. God has planned out the whole universe and the whole world. And he has a time for everything. He is the great I am. He is the beginning of and the end. He is Alpha and Omega. He's the creator of all things. And he who was uncreated, the uncreated creator, has the right to do whatever he chooses to do, because he is sovereign. And now he declares, I'm taking this world. And he declares that time shall be no more. So let's talk about that little phrase, because the translation is a little bit misleading. Because when I say, oh, time will be no more, what would you say? There's no more time. It comes to an end. We're not going to use our watch anymore. We won't have days and nights. But that isn't true. There's still a few more years yet to finish out in the Revelation, so the time is still being counted. We have 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ. That's time still being counted. Time itself doesn't stop until eternity dawns. After the great white throne judgment, time won't matter then. Now, time doesn't matter to God. You know, time is something that humans use, something we use to measure time. We measure time with time. We measure activity and things that happen with time, happen on a certain day, a certain time, certain hour, and we look ahead to certain things. So if it doesn't mean that, what does it mean? Anyone ever looked at that and researched that? It simply means, if it was translated a little bit better. In fact, I don't know, I meant to look at a few other different translations like NIV or a few others to see what it says. It might give us the answer. Somebody have the NIV? Oh, I could do that right on my phone too. Go ahead. In fact, that's usually what I do. It takes me quicker. I can get on the phone and get the verse quicker than I can go turn the pages. So, 10:6. Go ahead, NIV.
And he swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created the heavens and all that is in them, the earth and all that is in it, and the sea and all that is in it, and said that there will be no more delay.
There you go. That's the word. That's the word. So there you go. Thank you, Mike. So there it is. There's no more delay. What does he mean? World, it's over for you. Now, there seems to be a lot of delays with things, doesn't it? God and grace. Why didn't he come? I don't know if you remember in 1988, there was a little book written called 88 Reasons Why the Lord Will Come in 88. And it was written by a NASA scientist who was a brilliant genius, and everything he put in the book sounded so logical. You had to believe he was coming in 88, and guess what? He didn't come in 88. This is 24, and he hasn't come yet. So he kind of delayed his coming. I wish he had come then, but he hasn't. But there's going to come a time when God says, it's over. That's what happened when Jesus came the first time. What does it say? In the fullness of time, Christ was born. In the fullness of time, at God's time, no more delay. It's time for Jesus to be born. He came at the exact moment God had declared, and just at the moment history needed him. And so this will happen at God's precise moment, precise time. There's no more delay, no more mercy, no more grace, no more holding back. Friend, you get right at this moment, or you're lost. It's time for me to claim the world. That's what Jesus is saying here. And I have to delay the rest of this study because I'm out of time. So we'll pick it up next week. There'll be some delay for us, but not delay for God. Okay? So that's exactly what it means. All right, so we'll pick it up. We'll finish this chapter There's some interesting things here, like eating that book. John ate that book. Have you ever ate a book? Anybody ever eat a book? No. I've chewed on paper. It isn't too appetizing, but usually spit it out of your mouth. Yeah. But we'll talk about him eating the book and what it did and why he did that. So there's some interesting stuff here yet in this chapter. Father, thank you for the study of your word, for being with us tonight, helping us to learn and grow. And Lord, we long for that day when you claim the world and we will rule and reign with you. How exciting. And we know it's coming. We know it's coming, so we long for it. Thank you, Jesus, for the blessed hope. Now go with us and let us share the good news. Jesus saves.